All right. And my next guest is from the band Sunstack Jones, and it's Chris with the band. How's it going?
It's going all right, thanks, man. Yeah. Sorry, I know I was a bit late on the call. I completely got lost with my daughter coming home from school, and it was just one of them evenings where nothing was going right. But yeah, I'm good. Glad to see you today, Turtle.
No worries, man. That is one of those just life moments that you cannot script. Life is so, we try as much as we can to plan out our day, plan out our lives, but there's so many times where, the plan goes awry. And at some point, that's fine. I I'm not lucky enough to have children just yet.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some times where just random stuff happens in my life, and the things like interviews and stuff have to be postponed. uh, but I don't find those parts of my life. I don't look at them as bad, or they're just those things that make life unique, that kind of put
Make
the
it
spice in
stressful.
it. Yeah, you
Okay.
know
Well, you
um
look at a positive way, so that's good.
well, you have to, you know what I mean? You
Yeah, I
have to
know.
look at things, and I was, not necessarily a negative person, but dude, I know the downward spiral that things that negativity can do to you, and just send you on just a massive roller coaster. And I was tired of that, so I just had to start looking at things at a different way. And luckily enough, when that happened, it was very responsive with people. People were
Cool.
more accept to things happening, because they did know that, much like life is unscripted. Do you take that approach in your life, or are you very much a planner in your life?
Uh, well, plan as much as you can, but as you know what's gonna happen the next day, do you? So a rough idea of what I'd like to do, but nothing ever goes to plan, does it? Even the best laid plans never
Yeah.
go to plan.
What was interesting was your guys' plans in the beginning of creating your band, and that was just,
Yeah,
you guys had five guys, and you guys did more of, like, sometimes there were two of you, sometimes there were three, sometimes four, maybe even five. At this point in your uh, venture as a band, are you more cemented now as just a five-piece band?
yeah, we are. Yeah, we are at the minute, but again, I can see that changing in the future. We could end up a 13-piece band, or open to anything, because I think with the last two records we've made, like with the current one, really built on the last one, so, and they were both as a real solid 5-piece. But now it's like, well, yeah, we gotta keep making the same record, or you evolve, don't you? So I'm not averse to getting, whoever whoever we need be to join in music in it. You do what you like.
Yeah, that does add so many more elements to it. This band is one of the first bands that is a very heavy guitar oriented band. You have three guitars, one bass, one drummer.
Yeah.
And how do you explore sound with three guitars? It seems to me like such a daunting task to make sure that everybody is doing something,
Something
you know
different.
yeah.
I think there's quite a lot of luck in it, really, because we all can just can play complete styles. Dave's like real bluesy. Lorcan's into like soundscapes and textures, and I'm a rudimentary strummer. So when you hear the three things at the same time, it makes the noise that you hear on the records now. So it's just worked for us up to the present. But I think that there was no, oh, what are we going to do? Because if I say hit an E chord on this bit, the other two will play it the same chord, completely different way to me, and we've just been lucky, I think, really, with that. No
Yeah,
great plans.
yeah. There's a big kind of like wall of sound that comes through with your music, as far as like just with the drumming and the textures that go on. So I thought that was a very interesting part of your band,
Yeah,
and wanted to explore some of that. But going into this album, it's your fourth album, and that is Golden Repair, which is out now. I'll have links to band's website, sunstackjones.com, their Twitter, their Facebook, and their Bandcamp, all that. If you can't remember that, make sure to log on to entertheshell.com, and I will have all those links for you. But I found it interesting that this was your fourth album, but it was the second time working with another member from the Verve, as
yeah,
far as like behind the controls. And I had something not necessarily similar to this experience, but I was talking to a band, and you know their whole thing was they found this engineer, and this engineer was extremely heavily influenced on the Beatles and their records. And
yeah.
so when they went to go record with them, at the end of the day, they were just like, all of our music sounds like the Beatles, and that's what we weren't looking for. And you know
That's what they weren't looking for.
yeah, they just wanted to
That's
work
what
with
I'm
the
looking
guy.
for. He doesn't want to
And
be the Beatles.
yeah. Well, the thing about it's an interesting concept, that thought of who doesn't want to be the Beatles. A lot of bands don't want to be the Beatles; they want to be themselves, and
Yeah,
I think that's the major point to that. But with two people from the same, I guess band in control of your sound,
yeah.
were you looking for that Verve sound, or was that just something that just was a coincidence?
No, well, I think we weren't looking for to sound like another band at all. But I think with the fact that on the last album, um, Lorca had been speaking to Nick, and they were just talking about mastering, and Lorca said, "Can you recommend anyone who could master this album for us?" Because we hadn't mastered the previous two; just they were real rough and ready. And he gave a list of names, and then he just said, "Or I can do it for you if you want." So any sounds that were on there already with the sounds that we'd made, he mastered it. He just made it translate onto the vinyl or the CD or MP3 as it needed to sound. And then I think just through that association, when we found out that Simon had a studio, and it's literally it's down the road it's from where we were based. It's like, well, it's a no-brainer. Let's go to his studio and record there. But so Si worked as the engineer on the latest album, but it was still produced with us and Paul Denhayer, who's produced all our records. So I think it was just like a bit of a natural. That's how we sound, and it had been compared to their band in the past. It's like, well, there's no harm in working with people who mastered that sound in the first place. So certainly not trying to sound like anyone other than ourselves. Just
Right.
so happens it's always in the same sphere as a great band of the past. So it's like, right, well, if they work with us, that's great.
Yeah, it was interesting too that you know you got the bassist perspective, and then you got a guitarist perspective on this. What did you see? Was there a difference in perspective because of that, do you think?
Um, that's it's hard to say, really. I think you know, I think all they wanted to do, all they do with anyone else that they work with, is try and bring out the best elements of whoever they're working with. So yeah, it's hard to say. I think that's what everybody does, isn't it? Who works in that kind of sphere, they just try and bring out to know whoever they're working with, because then it looks good on them and it looks good on the bands.
Yeah.
Difficult to that, really.
What was it like writing the first song of the album? Well, I'm pretty sure you probably, you didn't write the first song as the first song, but of
Yeah.
course, the song I'm talking about is Golden Repair, which opens up with Where You Gonna Go. And
Oh
that is
yeah.
an 8-minute song. And, it's funny because there are so many times where a band writes a song and it just goes 8 minutes, and I get that. But then the band shaves it down because just like 8 minutes is a little too um,
Yeah.
self-indulgent.
Yeah, the radio aren't gonna touch it, like.
Well, not
Uh,
not necessarily that. That isn't like a radio uh, song per se, but
no.
a lot of bands just try to keep it to 4 minutes or shave it down as much as you could. Why did you decide to keep it uh, that length? Was it because you really felt that this song deserved that much time to actualize?
Yeah, I think just because when we recorded it, that big long end section at the end, that was it was just like made up on the spot. It wasn't rehearsed, and now we go to it. It was just all looking at each other, making eye contact, and going, "Go on, keep going, keep going." And then when we heard it back, we just like, "Oh, that sounds amazing. Let's just keep it like that." We're not trying to be like big chart stars or anything. So that sounds good. It feels good. Let's just keep it like that. And everyone was saying, "Oh, we should end the record like the big ending." So to be perverse, we thought, "No, I'll stick at the front, and you don't have to wait to hear it." Not, nothing thought out about it. It was just that sounds great, feels good, and it doesn't. I don't think it feels like 8 minutes when it's on. Because if you told me, "I'll listen to this 8 minute tune," I'd go, "Oh, I can't be bothered." But you know what I mean? It sounds good, so
Yeah,
just
yeah. I
went
was
with.
I was listening to the record, prior to the interview, and I was just doing stuff, and then I'd go back and I'm like, oh my god, it's still the same song. Not like, oh my god, but
Still
I was
on.
just like, oh, this song is still going on.
I think the next album's just going to be one long track for an hour.
That's cool. A few bands have done that. I know NoFX did a EP that was about 20-25 minutes, and it was one full song. So,
Yeah,
it's been done. Not saying it's been done before, but I mean, it's definitely something that people
oh,
do. So, you can be a part of that, and that would be really interesting. One of the last things
he's
I wanted to
broke.
talk. What was that? Hello? We're probably just freezing up right now, um, right here on Enter the Shell and Enter the Shell's YouTube and Facebook. Thank you so much for watching as we're experiencing a few technical difficulties with the band and Chris from the band Sunstack Jones. So make sure to go check them out. Sunstackjones.com is their website, and they have a Twitter, Facebook. I will have all the links on entertheshell.com. Let's see if we can get him back real quick. Let's see. As we go through some quick technical difficulties. And